full appearance.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. We got a great show lined up for you today. We want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. We also invite you to send in your comments, your reactions, or your questions to the live stream chat. I also want to remind that today is the day that we're consolidating on the live stream. We'll see how that goes. If we need to open things back up, we will. But if you want to find us, follow a couple different places on Facebook, and it's as much about the post-show engagement as it is the live broadcast. But follow at Martin Houston 35 fan page or Martin J Houston 35 on Facebook, and then all of you who are on YouTube, make sure you subscribe so you can get the link. Today we're going to add Kennington Smith III to the conversation and get his thoughts about the Alabama basketball team sitting atop the SEC at 6-1 in league play. Had a big homestand, extending their SEC win streak to 13 games, home win streak to 13 games, sitting atop Tennessee by a half game because Tennessee didn't play a midweek game. But either way, the Alabama Crimson Tide definitely made some noise. We'll also get his grades on what he thinks of the Alabama Crimson Tide from DeBoer and his staff. We didn't get to catch up with him last week, so we'll get his thoughts there, get his grade as well on DeBoer, the staff, etc., and what they're doing. And then see if he has any insight on what they're going to do next. The question I'm asking you as a listener is, what's your anxiety level today? What's your anxiety level today? Has it calmed down, or is it still the same? Because as you know, we were told that the roof was falling, or the roof was on fire, whichever way you want to describe it. Are you still feeling that way? And some of the Bama fans were in that right there on, oh my God, oh, what are we gonna do? So want to hear from you today. Once again, you can call us at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, or post your thoughts and comments in chat. Couple of quick things. Hopefully they're listening this morning, faithful listeners. The swag pack score prediction contest had two guys that were selected as the winners. One is Phillip. Phillip was one, and then Mr. Faithful. Even though he had some crazy picks, This other guy nailed it 3 times, and that's Pat. So Pat and Phillip, you guys call the station. Make sure you leave them your address and phone number so I can coordinate with you so I can get you your swag pack. So kudos to those guys, X, on that. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. So go ahead and make plans to join us that way in terms of all of the different things out there. So X had a unique experience Saturday. Okay, and it kind of inspired me that we're going to do something on our show, and we're going to find. I think this is a great time to do it. We're going to find the Bama super fan. Okay, the Bama super fan, and it was inspired by Mr. Tommy Ray. Have you ever heard of Tommy Ray?
Yeah, I been going to games forever.
Yeah, and
Watching.
not just going to games. He's been to 660. Justin, you hear that? 660 consecutive games. 660 consecutive games. And probably can tell you something about all of them. It was a fun experience. But I posted it on Facebook. If you want all the statistics, want to go back and grab them, you can go to my Facebook page, the fan page there, Martin Houston 35 fan page. It's crazy because here's what happened. I run into him and he tells me, and then come to find out, his friend was with me. He said, "Well, actually, he's been in 686 games. He just missed one, and the one game he missed was following the 71 season, 72 Sugar Bowl." Here's the craziest part about him being a super fan is that he actually has been to over 50% of all the Alabama football games that have ever been played since 1892.
Wow.
Let that sink. And one guy tried to correct me and go, "You mean 1892?" I'm like, no, there haven't been 686 games. That means that there's been 1,300 games played since 1992. If I was talking about 1992. There's been over 1,300 games played. I think it's according to the all-time record. It's been 1,032 games played. He's been to 686 of them. 51.5% of the games. Is that not crazy? So
That's insane.
So that inspired me to do a super fan contest, and I'll be rolling it out. But what we're going to do is I'm going to be asking all of our listeners and followers, etc., to post their fan and give a why that person should be the super fan. So I'm working through that contest, but we're going to be rolling that out. I think that'll be a lot of fun, especially during this time, X, where so many people were downing Alabama and all of that. We need to let people know that Alabama's been great for its entire history, and that we have fans that are new to the ship who jumped on the bandwagon because of Saban. But there's a whole bunch of fans that's been with Alabama, even dating back, maybe a few of them to the pre-Bryant era, but definitely since Coach Bryant and on, and even stuck with Alabama through the Mike era. So we'll be doing that. What were you about to say?
No, I mean that's just an insane thing when you look at somebody that's been to that many games and the loyalty. I know
It's
I know
hard.
through the era that I started watching Alabama football, which was the Mike era and really getting into it. Yes, even though you're my dad, I didn't have a care for football until that era, but man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is absolutely insane that that you could get that type of consistency. It's not just that he went to that many games, X. He's been to that many in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, yeah. So you have to plan your life accordingly. so anyway, thanks to definitely super fan, and I may have to have him on just as the official, what they call him, the grand marshal of the parade. We may have to have him on there. He's the honorary emeritus or whatever super fan. Everybody else is playing for second, but we're gonna give our listening audience and viewing audience a chance to pick their super fan. So be thinking about who you want to nominate as a super fan. And guys, it doesn't have to be somebody that went to 600 and something games. For instance, when I was with the Steelers, I heard a story of this gentleman. He didn't go to games, X, but he was Steeler to the core. And when he died, they buried him in his, not in a casket, but in somehow, I don't know how they did it, but he was in his, they built it around his rocking chair, his recliner, and all of his stuff that he set up each day. They put him around it. Yes. And that's what they buried him in, because they said he was a diehard Steelers fan. And so there may be some stories like that. I'll tell you a story of a funeral I did down in where the recession of music was Eli Gold calling the top 10 plays. Okay, so it's some great stories out there, and then we'll come back in. We'll work them in. We're going to go ahead and get the break here. J. Rob, you can be on with us with Kennington when he comes back. We'll work you into that conversation. We have Kennington Smith III of The Athletic at Skinny Kenny _. He'll be our guest when we come back on the other side. But the phone lines are still open. You're always welcome to call up and speak to me, X, and Kenny. Skinny Kenny, whatever you want to do, we'll talk about it right here on the Sound of Alabama Sports. Your show, your team.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. This Monday morning drive is all free and clear of anything much to get on your way. The drive along 2059 from Foster's to Cottondale, McFarland Boulevard, and from Coker, and the drive along Highway 69 coming up from Hale County. You're moving nicely, light volume on the board, and no big problems at this very early hour, so keep your fingers crossed as we move along. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Tired of that gas-guzzling big SUV? It's like trying to park a school bus. Hi, Barry Buckner here at Tuscaloosa Hyundai, and you wouldn't believe how many Tahoes, Expeditions, Suburbans, even Escalades are trading for a new Hyundai Palisade. They're amazed with Palisade's luxury, technology, and a price tens of thousands less. It's no surprise KBB.com named Palisade one of the best family vehicles 3 years in a row. At Tuscaloosa Hyundai, our best Palisade feature is no added side stickers. Come see what a difference that makes on your new Palisade. Come take a Palisade test drive, and I promise you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to save, that's our business. Tuscaloosa Hyundai, corner of Skyland and Hargrove, TuscaloosaHyundai.com.
West Alabama's Big Old Deer Hunting Contest is underway. Our weekly winners are picking up $50 gift cards for Texas Roadhouse. And all weekly winners are entered into the grand prize competition at the end of the season. Take your big buck over to Hicks Taxidermy. The Big Old Deer Hunting Contest is presented by Tuscaloosa Ford, Dwayne's Towing and Recovery, North River Outdoors, Elite Recruiting, Tuscaloosa Tractor, and Houghton's Deer Processing. Win your shot at thousands of dollars in cash and prizes with the Big Old Buck Hunting Contest.
Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather cool and dry today with a sunny sky, the high 51. Clear tonight, the low 31. Then for tomorrow and Wednesday, the sky partially sunny both days. The high tomorrow 60, cooler on Wednesday with a high in the middle 50s at 54. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 42 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. Glad that you've chosen to be with us. Want to encourage you to keep tuning in Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. We are going to be launching a Alabama Superfan contest. I'll be rolling out the details of that. Inspired by Tommy Ray, the gentleman who's gone to 660 consecutive Alabama games, 686 total, dating back to the 1971 season, the January 1st bowl game against Nebraska is the last game he missed. Let that sink in. He's been to over 50% of all 51.5% of all Alabama football games played in the history of the program. His 50% mark X was the Tennessee game this past year. So super fan Tommy Ray, he's the emeritus. All the rest of us are playing for second, but we're going to have some fun with that. So be thinking about who you would nominate and why as we roll that out, and we'll give you more details as we get ready to launch that. We have Kennington Smith III of The Athletic joining the conversation today. So we're going to welcome him in. Good morning, Kennington. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing well. Hey, we didn't get to catch up with you last week, but a lot have happened since the last time you were on. So we're going to get your thoughts on how has Caleb DeBoer done with settling this team and this fan base down. But before we do that, we have a caller that was already on waiting before you jumped in. J-Rob, you're on with Martin, Xavier, and Kennington. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, gentlemen, and Roll Tide. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Roll Tide.
Good. My anxiety level, Martin, you alluded to that.
Yeah, what's your anxiety level?
When Coach Saban got fired, my anxiety level was 9.75. And then that 0.25 was the faith that the athletic director would go out and get a good coach. And then when Coach DeBoer got hired, it went down to about 5. And then when all these players started leaving, and then they couldn't retain T-Rob, it went back up to 9. but since then, all the hires that Coach DeBoer has made and the players that he got from Washington, and listening to you talk about, really and truly, the only significant loss on the players was Caleb Downs. I'm back down to about 2 now, so I'm better.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Hey, Kennedy, what do you think about? Of course, I know what J. Rob. For those of you who are listening, you may be saying, "Well, Coach Saban." He meant to say when Coach Saban retired. We know Coach Saban
Yeah,
didn't get
retired.
fired.
Did I say fired?
Yes,
No,
sir.
not meant
Okay,
retired. Excuse me.
that's okay. That's okay. Kennington, but what are your thoughts in terms of just overall the Alabama fan base and what you're seeing out there from that anxiety level?
Yeah, I think at this point, the anxiety has definitely subdued. I think, obviously, when Saban retired and you see this, influx of players start to enter the portal, it was jarring at first. I think a lot of fans were probably expecting a lot of these players to stick around and give DeBoer a chance, at least through spring practice. But you see, the Isaiah Bonds and the Caleb Downses and the Caleb Proctors, et cetera, into the portal. It kind of raises your anxiety level a little bit, but you have to just kind of think to yourself, the Kevin DeBoer did, a pretty good job of trying to stabilize the roster, and he's had, a couple of wins along the way as well. I think, getting Ryan Williams back into the fold was massive on multiple fronts, and I think that was probably the move that kind of brought Alabama fans back at bay. So when you kind of look at, what Alabama lost in the portal, when you kind of look at it in totality, I mean, they lost, what, 4 starters, a couple of guys in the 2 deep, but a lot of them that they lost in the portal weren't even guys that were listed in their 2 deep. So, yeah, their depth took a hit. But when you think about, what they really lost in terms of on-field production, it was pretty minimal when you think about, what they'll be able to do in terms of replacing a couple of guys in the portal and maybe some guys on the roster who might be able to take a step up. So now that we're, several days removed from players leaving, you kind of look at it from 30,000 feet. You think to yourself, okay, this is still a team that can compete for a playoff spot this fall.
Absolutely. J. Rob, we'll go deeper on the actual impact now that things have slowed down, the actual impact of the portal on the net effect of the portal on Alabama because of DeBoer. Because I do think that a lot of people have unfairly labeled DeBoer for all of the defections at Alabama. So we'll break that down. But J. Rob, before I let you go, did you have anything else that you wanted to share?
No, yeah, have a great day.
Hey, J. Rob, now I want you to be thinking about who the super fan is. Now you can nominate yourself as a super fan now, because we got a couple people that may think that they're the super fan X. so we'll work that into the conversation. All right, thanks, J. Rob. Hey, listen, if you got something you want to bring to the conversation, go ahead and post it and share it with us. Before we get too deep into football, I want to circle back on a conversation that I think we need to have. Alabama basketball, more losses than we would like to have at this point, Kennington. But coming out of this weekend, could Alabama, considering the way things have been played, in what we were thinking a week ago after the shellacking and dominance of Tennessee, could Alabama have had a bigger week? And what do you think about them sitting atop the SEC right now?
Yeah, no, I definitely, don't think they could have had a better week than they did. You think about huge win over Auburn that kind of, I think, solidified that Alabama has a roster that can win the SEC. I think you looked at Alabama before this week as a team that had obviously a lot of talent. Obviously, they could score with anyone, but you were searching for that marquee win. They've done really well kind of beating up on teams that they're supposed to beat, and they played really well against really good teams, but haven't, saw it all the way through to a win. They do that against Auburn, and they come back against LSU. It was probably a tighter game than what fans would have liked at halftime, and you see the team pull away in the second half and end up with a 20-point win. And they look ahead. They have a really opportunity against Georgia on Wednesday to get another pretty good win. So there's a lot of momentum right now. I think it's obviously not a finished product, but you're starting to see the team start to come together. You're starting to see, who you can trust down the stretch in terms of the lineup, and the offense is just on another level right now. So it is a championship level team. There are some things that need to be worked out, but you have to feel a lot better about where the team is at today versus a week ago.
X, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, great bounce back from that Tennessee game. The win over Auburn, beating your rival in your home building is always huge. And then, of course, when you look at the record-setting performance against LSU, I don't know how many people saw that this is the most 100-point games in a single season for Alabama with 6 now. Great way to bounce back.
Yeah, and when you look at it, Kennington, what do you attribute NATO's challenging team? But to me, they found several things this week, and you hope that they can keep it going. But what do you attribute to the biggest swing as far as this team against a really, really good Auburn team and a really improved LSU team that has the talent to beat in Alabama? But Alabama on their home court beating them by 20. What do you attribute the biggest turnaround, one or two things to what we saw this week?
Yeah, I think the first thing is one of the main things that's been a storyline with this team is kind of like who is going to be that closing lineup down the stretch and who's going to be the ones that are kind of playing in those winning minutes. And I think 4 of those 5 spots are pretty solidified. Mark Sears, Grant Nelson, Latrell Wrightsell, and Aaron Estrada, in my opinion, are probably the top 4 on the roster right now. And then it's a matter of whoever's playing the best at that moment is probably going to be that 5th guy. At times it's been Rylan Griffin. At times it's been Jaron Stevenson. At times, Mo Diabate. So they have a really strong top 4 right now, and then that 5th guy is just kind of whatever fits in that moment. I think that's been a big thing. And then just continuing that point, Latrell Wrightsell, I don't know if there's anybody in the country shooting better than him right now. He's shooting above 50%. He's shooting above 50% from 3, and he's been shooting at that clip for about a month now. He's shooting over 45% from 3 this season. So his ascension, over the last week, got to start against Auburn, played a lot. Against LSU, got to start in that game as well. So kind of his ascension has really kind of, turned the team up in a way. He's a ball handler, defender, obviously a great shooter, like I just mentioned. So those are probably the 2 things that have stuck out to me over the course of the week.
How cool is it that Griffin gets, you said right, so God, he's nailing it, but then they bring Griffin off the bench, Rylan off the bench, and before he does it, I don't know if you heard this story or not, he texted and communicated with Quinterly and said, hey man, how do I handle this? How do I do this? And undoubtedly, whatever advice Quinterly gave him worked, because he comes in and Wrightsell keeps shooting at the level he's shooting, and Griffin hits 4 threes in the first half. And if Rylan does that, Wrightsell keeps doing what he's doing. And then of course we saw Grant Nelson finally played big down the stretch when they needed him. Big dunks, big offensive rebounds, a couple rejections on the defensive end, and changed some shots. So lots of things happening for this team that I think can absolutely do that. X, I'll give you closing thoughts, and then we'll come back on the other side, and we'll have some more conversation.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what the basketball team's been doing, and you're talking about that closing 5, and it's really gotten smoothed out, and Rylan Griffin playing better, right? Wrightsell shooting out of the gym right now, but Grant Nelson, I think, is the biggest key in the cog when you look at how he's been playing down the stretch of games, the way that he kind of disappeared for a little stretch of the season, but seems to be getting back into form and adjusted to the level of play from North Dakota State to Alabama.
Yeah, and can I say I was going to give it Xavier last off, but I'd like to get your thoughts on with all that we talked about, Stevenson game. I mean, it's a bunch of guys whose games have gone to the next level. Can Pringle find a place again? And if so, does that take Alabama over the top and make them maybe the favorite if they can get what they expected out of Pringle back into the rotation, because he's pretty much a non-factor now?
Yeah, that's the part that's probably the most, intriguing right now. He's the X factor, like you said, somebody who came into the season with high expectations and hasn't quite materialized. Got suspended early in the year and then hardly played against LSU. If he can, become more consistent down the stretch, that would really, go a long way. I think, they're still kind of looking for front court depth. Muhammad Wagui's had some moments this year. We know he's battling a injury right now, and Darren Stevenson is still young. So definitely need Nick Pringle to take that next step and just be consistent. And he's somebody that could be a spot starter. He's somebody that could be, a very valuable rotation piece off the bench as well. So getting Nick Pringle, focused into the fold, engaged, and then keeping him that way down the stretch is going to determine, I think, a lot of Alabama's success this year.
Yeah, Nate Oates and that team heading to Georgia, Athens, Georgia. We need another defeat over the Dogs. It's kind of a cat and dog stretch right now where we're playing the Cats and then the Dogs and then the Cats again. Maybe we can go through this stretch with like a 6-0 as the Elephants stomp out the Dogs and the Cats. So we'll keep up with it. We'll talk about it right here. Coming back on the other side, we'll get to some conversation around Kennington Smith III, his thoughts on Coach DeBoer, the overall, what he and his staff are doing, and then we'll talk about some transfers and some specifics around this program. Those conversations and more, hey, we invite you to get in on it at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, or you can always post your comments in the live chat at Martin Houston 35 fan page. Thanks, and roll tide out there, everybody.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Hi, I'm Marty Lyons. When I come to Taco Casa, I always order the 2 and 2. 2 Sanchos, 2 enchiladas.
And I'm Wilkin Forby. And when I come to Taco Casa, I always order the Fantastic Four. 4 Sanchos, 4 enchiladas, 4 tacos, and 4 burritos.
Taco Casa is always made with the finest ingredients and made fresh when you order. So whatever the size of your appetite,
there's always something delicious waiting for you here at Taco Casa.
Taco Casa, under the biggest cactus in town.
Hey, Frank, looks like business is booming. What are all those tabs you have open on your computer?
Oh, hey, well, this one is for my SEO company. This one is for my website company. This one is for my CRM. This is for invoicing and estimates. This one does email, and this one does billing.
Geez, that sounds tricky to manage.
It's clunky, but I need all this to run my business. Wait, you run your own business, and you're even busier than I am. Don't you have all this stuff, too?
I do, but I get it all on one screen with the Town Square Business Management Platform.
What's that?
The Town Square Business Management Platform is an all-in-one tool that helps me grow and run my business. It combines website, billing, and scheduling into one program.
That sounds simpler than juggling all the tools I have now, but you still need someone else to help you find new business, right?
Nope. They have powerful digital advertising built into the platform as well, which helps me keep my calendar full. You can get a demo of the product for free. Check out their website. See if it makes sense for your business.
Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free demo of the Town Square Business Management Platform. Visit townsquarelocal.com. That's townsquarelocal.com.
She's running around. Her breath doesn't smell. Her digestive system is perfect. It has made such a huge difference.
What did this dog parent do for their dog? She switched to Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food made by Dr. Marty Goldstein, a veterinarian Forbes magazine called the Miracle Worker. It's the easiest way to support your dog's easy digestion, nourished skin, playful energy, and most importantly, their healthy, full life.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free full-sized bag of Tilly's Treasures dog treats. They're best-selling beef liver dog treats while supplies last. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL. to 511-511. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or shop in over 2,000 stores nationwide. Use the store locator to find the store closest to you. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back. Excuse me. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Want to remind you, go check out Billy's Cooking Restaurant. Billy's Cooking Restaurant, 3702 Alabama Avenue Northeast. That's Tuscaloosa, but we call that Community Hope. Wednesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. Opening time. You have Wing Wednesday, Fish Friday, and Soul Food Sunday. Have some great desserts, and they have some great drink options there. Non-alcoholic, guys. But go check them out. They also have on the menu barbecue, several different selection of specialty fries, Philly fries, double Billy Philly, Billy pork fries, flavored fries, cheese fries, and of course they have regular fries. So go check them out. You can find them online, see some great pictures of what they offer at Billy's Cooking LLC. All right. Excuse me. X in Kennington, as we were going to break there, said we're going to circle back over to this Kennington, to Kalen DeBoer conversation. Getting a lot of static in the background. We're going to go back to Kalen DeBoer, but I want to set this around something I watched last night and what I like about DeBoer. DeBoer, Kennington, is a young guy, not 50 yet, but he seems to be old school in some ways, new school in others, which I think is a good mix. And I want to set this by a question that I was asked about last night. Did you get to watch the ball game last night?
Yeah.
Okay. The 49ers and the Lions. And I love these coaches who are aggressive, and I love these coaches. I'm not a big analytics guy, because you have to be. I love the utilization of analytics, but to me, you have to be able to coach in the moment and be able to change. Now, everybody's going to dog Dan Campbell, and I do put last night's loss on him. But I also say the Lions don't get there without his style of coaching, right? So the question becomes, when we look at our coach, because to me, you have to be able to coach in a situation, right? You use analytics as a tool, not as a decision maker. And they were still winning that game till he went for it on fourth down and didn't get it. And from that point, it imploded. And then he had another chance to kick a field goal and didn't, and they lost by 3. Is Kalen DeBoer, from what you've seen, from what I've seen, he seems to be, I'll use analytics, but I'm going with gut. I'm an old school ball coach that has some of this new age thought process. That's why I didn't like Lanning. I liked Sark, but I didn't like Kiffin for that reason, because they will cost you. They may get you to a place, but they will cost you because they don't use sound judgment in key moments.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think DeBoer, when you look at his style, it is aggressive and they are going to go for it, but there are moments where I think that he is I guess a little bit more conservative and doesn't allow analytics, and that helped Washington. I think about that Oregon game, that first one in the regular season where Dan Lanning is going for it on fourth down when Oregon is winning and they don't get it, gives Washington a chance, they end up winning that game. So I think DeBoer is a good mix of both, and just in terms of who he is as a coach, you see him in these matchups with Dan Lanning. He's beaten him several times. He's beaten Steve Sarkisian a couple times. He's beaten Lincoln Riley. As an underdog, straight up 7-3 overall record. So you see that type of coaching style manifest itself in games like that, where he might not have the most talented roster, and he understands that he has to do things and he has to be a little bit more aggressive to give his team a chance. But he's not going to do it in a way that is like so overly aggressive that he ends up kind of, coaching his team out of the game, if that makes sense. So
Do you think that Campbell was probably too aggressive in those key fourth downs when his defense was dominating the 49ers?
I think the first decision to go for it, I'm not too mad at. I mean, you're up 24-10. They had, some momentum at that point. And it was a good play call. Unfortunately, Reynolds dropped the ball. I think the second fourth down conversion was more head-scratching because at that point you had no momentum. You were losing. That felt like a moment where you could kick a field goal, tie the game, and kind of reset yourself. And, they missed that field goal. The 49ers go down, and then all of a sudden you're down 10 instead of, at worst, being down 7. So I like the first fourth down call. The second one, I would have liked to see him kick a field goal and tie the game.
Yeah, I don't like the first fourth down call. I understand it, but I don't like it when you're up by 2 scores against. Now, if you're up against a team, like I said, I think they had the 49ers wheeling. The 49ers needed to come out. They got 3 points. And then, of course, from that point on, it was off the helmet and then a fumble, and that was it. But to me, it changed the momentum of the game, flipped the script. But taking that to the Alabama team, what's your overall grade for DeBoer and this staff?
In terms of how they've handled the roster, or what I think about the staff that's put together.
Just overall, right now, if you were grading him on his acceptance of the job, what he's done, everything, just as an overall, then we'll get specific on a couple things.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would have to give DeBoer at the worst a high B. He's really kind of like an A to me. I mean, I don't know what else he could have done to kind of keep this roster together. I mean, there are certain players who just who left. I think a lot of the frustration with the fans is that a lot of the players that left after Nick Saban retired didn't give DeBoer a chance, at least through spring practice, and a lot of that is probably out of his control. So I think in terms of who Alabama was able to keep, what they've been able to do in terms of roster retention. And then the biggest part of this to me is getting Ryan Williams back into the fold. I think that's the part that kind of, raises his grade profile a little bit to kind of that high B, A mark. I mean, they upgraded at center as well, which is going to be a really key position as fans saw in 2023. So I feel, pretty optimistic about what DeBoer has been able to do. I like the staff that he's put together. And I think after spring practice and they go into the spring portal window, we get a chance to see him and that staff go on the offensive in terms of trying to add to the roster. We'll have a clearer picture of the job that he's been able to do. But so far, I mean, it's pretty hard to kind of ding much of what he's done as the coach so far. And I feel like this is still a formidable roster.
Absolutely. When you look at it, what's your grade for this staff versus last year's staff? Which staff are you taking? Remove DeBoer and Saban from the conversation. Which one of these staffs you taking?
Man, that's a tough one. I think I would say DeBoer staff. I mean, he offensively, I don't think it's close in terms of the assistants. I mean, clear upgrade at offensive coordinator, upgrade at wide receivers coach. Tight ends coach, I like what Joe Cox did. Offensive line coach, I would say upgrade Joe Boer, award-winning offensive line. Defensively, I liked a lot of what Saban's staff was able to do last year. And I would have liked to see Robert Ballock get retained. But he added a couple of head coaches to his defensive staff as well. So you have a lot of experience. You have people with Southern ties. You have, young coaches, hungry coaches, probably guys who are going to be enthusiastic about going and recruiting. So, take the head coaches out of it. I probably like the board staff just because of the advantages on the offensive side.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that defensive staff and going, I mean, you retain Freddie Roach and upgraded his position to assistant head coach. So now you have him as assistant head coach, and you have 2 former head coaches and a former co-defensive coordinator. I would say upgrade. And based on what Saban's words said, Kennington, you have to think that the defensive coordinator is an upgrade, and being that he said he had to spend so much time with the defense last year, that it prevented him from spending time elsewhere. So, just as an outsider looking in, if you read between the lines, Saban did a lot more with that defense last year than we thought, based on his comments. So big time there. We'll come back on the other side. Let's talk about the portal and really break it down. I know you wrote a story in Kennington about this wide receiver. Let's look at the key losses and look at the key fields. And did Alabama and DeBoer, hit a home run in terms of replacement so far? We'll be back on the other side. Thanks to Alabama One, we're able to do this each and every day, Monday through Friday. Go to alabama1.org. Great promotions going on there. Got a deposit to win promotion going on right now. If you open up membership money and more, you can win up to $250 with a $25 deposit account. You can do more than that, but at least a minimum of $25, and you can win. All the details right there at alabama1.org. Deposit to win. Click the banner, and they'll tell you how.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A beautiful Alabama sunrise coming up all across T-Town this morning, and we're underway for this Monday morning, the first drive-in of the week, free and clear of any real problem spots to get on your way. A drive along 2059, McFarland Boulevard, University, Highway 69, all remain in good shape into and out of the area at this very early stage. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Monday morning. Water has now been restored in Walker, Fayette, and extreme northern Tuscaloosa counties. Those are communities served by the Oakland Water Authority, which went without water for days as a result of a recent sub-freezing weather outbreak. Bully Volunteer Fire Department's Anthony Gant tells news partner ABC 3340, the question everyone is asking is, what is being done to keep it from happening again? A boiled water notice remains in effect until water safety is assured. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. The Martin Houston Show.
Join the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports, the sound of Bama Sports. Your show, your team, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. We got DC Capstone Report joining the conversation on tomorrow. We'll look at his thoughts on where this Bama basketball team sits. We'll get his grade on DeBoer and the staff. Also, what's next for the Tide? Those conversations and more right here on your home for Alabama Sports. Call us on the Alabama One hotline at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline on the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports.
Catch the Martin Houston Show from 6 to 7 weekday mornings on Tide 100.9.
Townsend Nissan Super Sale is underway right now with instant savings from $2,000 to $10,000 on most in-stock units. No reasonable offer refused. Shop Townsend Nissan today.
Barry Buckner here for Tuscaloosa Hyundai. And first up, a flashback. In 2021, I was both excited and amazed with the award-winning Elantra redesign. Today, the 2023 Elantra remodel is recognized for the best value balance of price and features. I'm talking about both Elantra and Elantra Hybrid. KBB.com recognizes Elantra is the lowest 5-year cost to own in its class. Elantra wins awards for innovative technology and 5-star safety rating. Elantra delivers up to 42 miles per gallon for gas and up to 56 miles per gallon for Elantra Hybrid. If you're thinking about Civic, Corolla, or Sentra, accept this invitation to compare the 2023 Elantra at Tuscaloosa Hyundai. With no add-on side stickers, your cost to own is low from the get-go. If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to save, that's our business. Tuscaloosa Hyundai, corner of Skyland and Hargrove, TuscaloosaHyundai.com.
Accidents happen, and when they do, make sure you've got the right person in your corner. If you've been in a wreck with a vehicle that has a logo on it, you've got to call Stephen Mesrano at 205-800-8000. Mesrano has won cases that have changed laws in Alabama, and Mesrano has secured large verdicts and settlements for his clients. Remember M for money and Mezrano.
If it has a logo on it, call me. 205-800-8000.
Healthy meal options fast. Clean Eats is now open downtown with a full-service lunch and dinner cafe, coffee and smoothie bar, healthy meal prep, and grab and goes. Clean Eats on University across from the federal courthouse. CleanEATZ.com.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. Let's look to the portal. Kennington, you briefly mentioned it earlier. Actually, before we do that, tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, on X, or formerly known as Twitter, at SkinnyKenny_, theathletic.com, or The Athletic on your mobile apps, where you can search my name, Kennington Smith III, or search for Alabama football.
All right. You got a couple of good stories up right now, specifically pertaining to Alabama and DeBoer and this portal. Let's kind of take it. We'll say Caleb last. But Alabama going into the portal, losing guys to the portal. As we mentioned, a lot of guys, 20 guys are already gone before Saban ever left. A total, I think, of 8 or 9 went into the portal, somewhere around that, after DeBoer got the job. But everybody kept saying, he's lost 30 players. No, he didn't. Okay? And when you really break it down, you have to look at the situation with the receiver, Isaiah Bond, Caleb Downs. I don't think Proctor would have been a starter on this year's upcoming team, in my opinion. Those two guys are the two that were really impactful. Black was a starter, but I also think that Black had some close competition. Now, in this offense, Black may have been a difference maker. I don't know that, and that's why I don't understand why he left. But anyway, Kennington, just break it down. Is there a big drop-off or even potential upgrade at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, I think, I think in terms of the receiver position, I think that Jeremy Bernard can be on Bond's level, if not above Bond's level, in terms of receiver production. This is somebody who, if you just look at his stats, it might not be too impressive, I guess, to the common eye. But you think about the receivers that Washington had last year. I mean, they had 3 NFL receivers, and Bernard not only played, but he had plays called for him in that offense. He was a part of that offense in a major way. So you think about his intrinsic knowledge of the system being able to come in. He's somebody that I think can be an impact player. And you look at the rest of their receiving core. Kobe Prentice showed a lot in 2022 and had a couple of moments in 2023. Kendrick Law obviously is in line for a big, elevation in terms of his role. You're bringing Ryan Williams into the fold. You're bringing in a few other receivers, into the mix into the summertime. So I feel like this is a receiver room that's probably on par with what it was last year. Losing Bond was a loss, of course, but I think Bernard mitigates that some, and there's obviously a chance where they can go into the portal and add some receivers in the spring window. So still decent about the receiving room right now. Again, Ryan Williams being into the fold is probably the biggest thing that looks towards optimism, is being able huge recruiting win, as somebody who might be able to be an instant impact player as well. So position is a work in progress right now. In my opinion, it's not a finished product, but you feel pretty good about the core that's in place.
Yeah, and without a doubt, I think Ryan Williams, the Bond thing made it an easier deal to close without Bond being there. I think that was part of the sale on top of it. So miss you, Bond. Wish you the best. Glad to have Williams and Bernard in. At the center position.
That's a clear upgrade. I mean, clear upgrade. I mean, Parker Brestwood only gave a 1 sack in total last year. He did it at 275 pounds. Imagine what's going to happen when he gets into Alabama's strength and conditioning program. If he adds a little bit more weight and keeps that athleticism, that's a clear upgrade in my opinion.
Yeah, someone asked the overall offensive line. Quick note: is this offensive line? Armando Fruque says, "Are we going to have to drop some weight and get more nimble as a staff?" And that's part of the reason I feel that Proctor may not have been a starter on this team.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think that's definitely something to look at. I think that's probably the biggest question mark on the team right now, just the tackle position. I mean, you're having two tackles, at least how it stands right now, on the left and right side that have never started a game. I know Elijah Pritchett played a decent amount last season, but at one of those tackle spots is going to be a huge question mark. So that's probably the position that I'm looking towards in the spring window of adding experience and talent on the exterior of the offensive line, because I think guard, center, guard combination, that's one of, if not the best trio in the country, on the roster right now.
Yeah, we definitely strong up the middle with the three guys. If they keep them all three in the same positions and don't move Booker to right or left tackle, totally agree. X, are you there? Final question?
Of course, we all look at Caleb Downs as the biggest loss of the offseason, transfer portal, draft, things of that nature, just because he would have been back on this year's team. Who is the guy that people are overlooking us losing?
I would say Trey Amos. I think that was a sizable loss. That's somebody who I thought was going to be able to slide in and start cornerback run right away. Losing him was surprising in my opinion, but Alabama has several recruits that are able to step up in the pipeline and have a big opportunity this spring. But I thought that was an underrated loss.
Let me ask you this: but does Damani Jackson and 3 5-stars in that position, do you think that made Amos leave?
Potentially, but I guess you just kind of look at it like, you thought he was going to be able to slide in and compete for at least one of those starting cornerback spots. But the competition is going to be fierce at that position. I think Alabama's going to be just fine at the end of the day.
Yeah, the only reason I asked that question is because it doesn't make sense that he left. He came here last year, got playing time when we had 2 first or second round draft picks and got playing time. He would have been the man, but he jumped ship. So that was kind of surprising for me. Closing thoughts, Kennington, and what you got, man?
I think my closing thought is let's just go through spring practice and see. I think there's a pretty good chance that you look at this roster post-spring and feel a lot better about certain positions than you do right now. So just give DeBoer a little bit of time, let him go through the spring portal window, and you'll find that this is going to be a team that can compete for a championship.
That's what I like to hear. That's Kennington Smith III. You can find him at SkinnyKenny _ on the X, or you can go to theathletic.com /author/Kennington-Smith-3, Roman numeral 3. All right. Thanks, Kenny. We'll catch up with you next week, man. Appreciate you. Remember this: trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding, and all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. That's Justin Jones. That's Kennington Smith III. Roll Tide out there, everybody. We'll catch you on tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to The Martin Houston Show on your home for